Hello everyone. I would like to explain about the arterial supply of lower limb in this video and the major arteries of lower limb and their description explained with colorful diagrams in this video. So before description of each artery of lower limb, we'll see about the schema of distribution of arteries in lower limb. That abdominal aorta ends by dividing into right common iliac and left common iliac arteries, and each common iliac artery divided into external iliac and internal iliac arteries. So internal iliac artery enters into the pelvic region and supplies to the pelvic organs, whereas external iliac artery continues into that lower limb and supplies to the lower limb. So external iliac artery continues as the femoral artery, and the femoral artery continues as the popliteal artery, and the popliteal artery divides into anterior tibial and posterior tibial arteries, and the anterior tibial artery continues as the dorsalis pedis artery, and the dorsalis pedis artery forms the arcuate artery, and the arcuate artery gives the branches dorsal metatarsal arteries, and dorsal metatarsal arteries gives the dorsal digital artery. So like that, anterior tibial artery ends as the dorsal digital branches. The posterior tibial artery divides into lateral plantar artery and medial plantar artery. The lateral plantar artery forms the plantar arch, and from the plantar arch, plantar metatarsal arteries are raised. From the plantar metatarsal, plantar digital branches arises. So like that, posterior tibial artery ends into that plantar digital branches. So these are that arterial supply, schema of distribution of arterial supply of lower limb. Anterior tibial up to the dorsal digital branches, and the posterior tibial up to the plantar digital branches. So we'll discuss about that each artery, brief description of arterial supply. So femoral artery. The femoral artery is very important artery of the lower limb, and at origin of that femoral artery, here it is arising continuation of the external iliac artery, and so this external iliac artery continues as that femoral artery and enters the thigh midway between the anterior superior iliac spine and pubic symphysis. So from the mid-inguinal point, the femoral artery arises. Then femoral artery lies in the femoral triangle, and then femoral artery lies in the adductor canal. So once arising from the external iliac artery, from the mid-inguinal point, it enters down and lies in the femoral triangle and enters into the adductor canal, and it terminates as that opening in the adductor magnus muscle by entering into the popliteal fossa as the popliteal artery. So femoral artery continues from the external iliac artery at mid-inguinal point and ends as that popliteal artery at the adductor hiatus. And we'll see about the branches of femoral artery. So branches of femoral artery is divided into superficial and deep branches. The superficial, there are three branches: superficial external pudendal artery, superficial epigastric artery, superficial circumflex iliac artery. The deep, there are three branches. It gives three superficial and three deep branches. So out of this, profunda femoris artery, that is a deep branch, is the largest branch of the femoral artery. It again gives branches, that is branches of profunda femoris artery are lateral circumflex femoral artery, medial circumflex femoral artery, and perforating arteries. So these are all total branches of the femoral artery. So femoral artery gives three superficial and three deep branches. Again, profunda femoris artery gives the lateral and medial circumflex femoral artery and perforating arteries. And according to this, some vascular surgeons, there are some alternative names of femoral artery are present. So before arising of the profunda femoris artery, the femoral artery is known as the common femoral artery. below that origin of profunda femoris artery, that is known as superficial femoral artery. So this is about that origin, termination, branches of the femoral artery. So we'll see about that clinical anatomy of femoral artery. The femoral artery, the clinical anatomy, it is the femoral artery can be compressed against the femoral head at the mid-inguinal point. So because to control the bleeding in the distal part of the limb. So this image here you can see that compression of the femoral artery at the mid-inguinal point, so that it compression of this artery may controls the bleeding in the distal part of the limb. Then next it is palpation. That pulsations of the femoral artery is felt at this area, that is the femoral triangle, because it lies just below that mid-inguinal point. And other important clinical aspect about femoral artery is at the apex of femoral triangle, the arrangement of the vessels are one behind the other. That is, from superficial to deep, there are that femoral artery, femoral vein and profunda femoris artery. So all these vessels will be involved in a stab injury at this triangle. So apex of the triangle, because of arrangement of these vessels, there is that these vessels easily gets at stab injuries. So here in this image you can see that femoral triangle, then arrangement of the vessels. And one more clinical importance of the femoral artery is cannulation. So that is introducing of the cannula through into that femoral artery, because it is quite superficial in the femoral triangle. So this is that artery, preferable artery for that cannulation, and injecting the dye into this femoral artery to perform the procedures like coronary angiography. So that it also preferred that vessels for performing that coronary angiography and angioplasty. So here image you can see that introducing of the cannula into that femoral artery, that is that injecting the dye through this cannula, and from here femoral artery enters into the external iliac, then common iliac, then abdominal aorta, then it enters into that aorta, left heart region. So these are all clinical importance about femoral artery. So next important artery, the femoral artery continues as the popliteal artery. Then popliteal artery, it is origin, here it is we know that it is continuation of the femoral artery and begins at that adductor hiatus, and it crosses the floor of the popliteal fossa from medial to lateral side, and it terminates at the lower border of popliteal muscle and by dividing into anterior and posterior tibial arteries. The branches of popliteal artery are three groups: cutaneous branches that supplies overlying the skin, and the muscular branches, they are large muscular branches and they are several in number. Then upper branches are 2 to 3 in number and supplies to the upper part of the thigh, that is adductor magnus and hamstring muscles, and these anastomosis with the perforating arteries. The lower muscular branches supplies to the triceps surae. Then articular branches, they are 5 in number and they supply to the knee joint, that is medial genicular artery, then lateral superior genicular artery, then medial inferior genicular artery, and lateral inferior genicular artery, and middle genicular artery. So all these 5 genicular arteries are they supply the knee joint. And terminal branches, as you know, that popliteal artery ends by dividing into anterior and posterior tibial artery. So this is about the popliteal artery. So femoral artery continues as the popliteal artery, and popliteal artery ends by dividing into anterior and posterior tibial arteries. So we'll see about the clinical importance of popliteal artery. So popliteal artery pulse is that can be seen, but it is the most difficult pulse to feel among other peripheral pulses. Then blood pressure in that lower limb is also recorded from that popliteal artery. And one more clinical important, that is the popliteal aneurysm. So the popliteal aneurysm, that is dilatation of the popliteal artery. It is more prone to aneurysm than any other artery in the body. So the popliteal aneurysm presents as a pulsatile and midline swelling in the popliteal fossa. So this is some important clinical points about the popliteal artery. Then popliteal artery ends by dividing into anterior tibial and posterior tibial. So we'll see about the anterior tibial artery. So anterior tibial artery, it is the main artery of the anterior compartment of the leg, and it corresponds to the posterior interosseous artery of the forearm. And that origin of this artery, it is arising from that back of the leg, from the lower border of the popliteus muscle, and it enters into that anterior compartment of leg and runs continuous as that dorsalis pedis artery. So from that lower part border of popliteus artery, it arises and ends as the dorsalis pedis artery in between two malleolus. And the branches of that anterior tibial artery are anterior and posterior tibial recurrent arteries, and they take part in the arterial anastomosis around the knee joint, and the muscular branches to that anterior compartment of the muscles, whereas anterior medial and anterior lateral malleolar arteries, they anastomose around the ankle joint. So that is about the anterior tibial artery. The anterior tibial artery continues as dorsalis pedis artery. So now we'll discuss about dorsalis pedis artery. Then it is the direct continuation of anterior tibial artery in front of the ankle, midway between two malleoli, and it begins in front of the ankle and reaches the space between first and second metatarsal bones, and it turns downwards and enters into the sole of the foot. In the sole, it joins the deep branches of lateral plantar artery and completes the plantar arterial arch. So the branches of dorsalis pedis artery are lateral tarsal branch and medial tarsal branch, then arcuate artery, then first dorsal metatarsal artery. So this is about that dorsalis pedis artery. The dorsalis pedis artery here, the green color one, that is the dorsalis pedis artery, continuation from above anterior tibial artery between the two malleoli, and it reaches between two intermetatarsals. It divides into, this is the lateral tarsal branch and medial tarsal branch. Then arcuate artery unites with the lateral tarsal branch, and this arcuate artery gives, these are the metatarsal branches, and these metatarsal branches gives the digital branches. So these are all about the dorsalis pedis artery. And clinical importance of dorsalis pedis artery is it will be useful for that arterial pulse, because it fell between the tendons of external hallucis longus and first tendon of the external digitorum longus. So it is regularly palpated in patients with vascular occlusion of arteries of leg and foot. So this dorsalis pedis artery is useful for the pulse. And the posterior tibial artery. So it is the larger terminal branch of the popliteal artery, and because it not only supplies the posterior compartment but also supplies the lateral compartment of leg and sole of the foot, and it begins at the lower border of the popliteal fossa in between the tibia and fibula and deep to the gastrocnemius, and enters into the back of the leg, and it terminates deep to the flexor retinaculum and dividing into large lateral plantar and small medial plantar arteries. So this is about that brief description of the lower limb arteries, that is femoral artery, popliteal artery, anterior tibial artery, posterior tibial artery, and dorsalis pedis artery. So thanks everyone for listening. Thank you very much.